So we're here with Officer Nathan Herbert of a municipal police department. He is a 5-year veteran of the school resource unit and many years of patrol prior to that. He's worked with teens exclusively and has a lot of experience dealing with crimes in the digital arena. And so we'd like to get some insights. Thanks for talking to us today, Nate. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Let's maybe shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about social aggression. Are you seeing an increase or a steady flow of what we might call social aggression, mean girl behavior? It doesn't have to be girls, it could be boys, kids treating each other without respect or dignity using social media?
Yes.
Is that causing a problem is that a big part of your job description, is dealing with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, because the social aggression more oftentimes is leading to actual physical aggression.
So it starts online and then ends up actually becoming a physical issue on
Yes.
campus or near campus?
Yes.
Okay.
Kids in general. I mean, because I get reports from off campus with relation to what's going on in the community, and it's prevalent not only on school premises but off premises as well.
Okay. Are you seeing? Is there more online social aggression or more in-person social aggression, or is it about even?
I would definitely say it's more online.
More online.
Yeah.
So a lot of what are some examples of I mean, I would break social aggression down into a couple different camps. One is just kind of healthy banter, kids helping other kids grow up by calling them out on stuff, and
Yeah.
I think as parents, I think most kids would agree with me. When I say kids, I mean teens. We are mislabeling most social aggression. We're calling it all bullying. We're lumping it into one big thing and saying, oh, this is all bad. It's all bad. It's all bad. But
Right.
when you and I were in school, everybody got pushed around a little bit and you learned how to stand up for yourself.
Right. There's a difference. When you and I were kids, there was trash talking.
Yeah.
We'd usually take it out on each other on a basketball court.
Right.
We might say some mean words to each other, but we'd eventually brush it off because we had a forum or which to get some of those angst out.
That aggression out, yeah.
Yeah, we could foul each other, and it was a legal means to an end.
Yeah.
Whereas we do see some kids on social media saying some pretty outrageous things.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised to hear some of the language that is coming from some of these children, and usually the parents' reaction is surprise. Well, we don't teach our kids. Where is that coming from?
Right.
It's an expansion of the locker room talk.
Yeah.
The kind of language you might expect there.
Behind closed doors.
But it's constant.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one thing to say something kind of ugly to one of your peers in a small group, an isolated peer group where, they can either get offended and they can deal with it right there, or they can laugh it off, that locker room kind of talk. But if it's happening online, it's for the whole world to see.
Yeah, it's duplicated again and again. I mean, think about Instagram, or I can send a link to my friends to someone else's page.
Yeah.
So now everyone who looks at my page normally clicks and sees someone else's page, and so it's the definition of viral, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what might have been an isolated incident, 20 or 30 years ago when we were growing up, is now for the whole world to see. And there's no privacy. There's no resolving it behind closed doors or in the locker room.
Right.
It's for the whole world to see. So just like when we were kids, there's always this group of kids who are the easy targets. They're maybe a little bit socially awkward. They're maybe not as mature in as some areas as their peer group, or maybe they're more mature and that's why they're getting kind of isolated. But they're the easy targets. What is that still a dynamic in social media? Are you still seeing those kinds of kids being the biggest targets, or has it expanded out beyond just that?
In my experience, it's expanded beyond simply that.
Yeah.
The banter, the trash talk, the harassment tends to be within one's own peer group.
Yeah.
Versus where you used to see sort of a bully picking on one individual specifically because they seemed different. That still goes on.
Sure.
But it seems to have spread to other groups as well.
Yeah.
You do see a lot with females. I don't like what she did, and so me and all my friends are going to say mean things about the way she looks.
And propagate it, just spread it virally.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's nothing specific about that person that makes them different. It's just that, the aggressor tended to be angry at that other individual that particular day.
So if you're the target and you're getting harassed on, and you keep using the word harassed, and I assume that's more or less a legal terminology that, we would tell parents, a few years ago, hey, this social media stuff is escalated the bullying environment. It's no longer just this you deal with it kind of thing. It's harassment or it's threats, and those are misdemeanor crimes.
Yeah.
How do the police handle that?
Well, we would handle harassment or threats on social media the same we would have in the past on any other form of media, or even in person.
Okay.
It used to, outside of social media, if you have witnesses that said yes, X occurred, or you have recordings thereof, then yeah, we can say that a crime occurred.
So an example of harassment in real life would be, I call you repeatedly and tell you I hate you.
Right.
Or that you're a scumbag, or that I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, or whatever.
So if you're, whether it's email or any form of social media, you've made a definite request, this needs to stop, and it continues, then it can be harassment.
So one strategy for somebody who's being victimized on social media is tell them to stop.
Yeah.
And that's strictly from a legal perspective, because that's part of the definition of the crime.
Exactly.
So if you are feeling like you're being criminally harassed by somebody, one of the elements to make that happen is you have to tell them to stop.
Right.
And then it continues.
And then it continues. Then the messages, if they're considered offensive or disorderly, then yes, that can constitute harassment.
How provocative do the messages have to be in order to reach that criminal level of harassment?
They simply need to be unwanted and considered to be, I want to use the word threatening, but
provoking.
And yes, provocation. Yeah.
So it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. Like, if I'm offended by what you're saying, I'm the one that gets to determine that your behavior is criminal in a sense. I mean, there's probably some wiggle room.
So it would basically be what a reasonable person would think would be offensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm feeling offended by it, and a group of my peers who are reasonable say, yeah, I'd be offended by that too.
Correct.
We're going to use that as evidence for potentially for criminal action.
Yes.